Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. I'm excited to introduce our topic, Mega Goal 3.2. Today, we'll be focusing on Unit 7, titled Everyone Makes Mistakes. We'll listen to some important ideas, and then have a discussion about how mistakes are a natural part of learning and growth. So, let's get started and explore how we can better understand and handle mistakes together. Let's take a look at the lesson objectives for today. First, we want to understand how to match words with their correct meanings. This helps us improve our vocabulary and comprehension skills. Next, we'll focus on listening carefully to catch specific information, which is essential for understanding and learning more effectively. We also aim to answer some questions correctly, reinforcing what we've learned and making sure we grasp the key concepts. Lastly, the overall topic we're discussing is mistakes, so we'll explore how to identify and learn from them. These objectives will guide us through today's lesson and help us develop important language skills in a clear and engaging way. Now let's look at these pictures and think about the words they represent. First, we have a sun. The word is sun. Next, an egg, which is egg. Then a key, so key. Moving on, an apple, which is apple. We also see a train, so train. After that, salt, which is salt. Then some ice cream, so ice cream. There's also a monkey, so monkey. And finally, the letters S-E-K-A-T-S-I-M. What I want you to do is write the word that matches each picture under it. Once you have all the words written, take the first letter of each word. When you put those letters together, they will reveal the secret word for today's lesson. This activity is a fun way to practice vocabulary and also see how the first letters of words can help us discover important concepts. Remember, everyone makes mistakes, but through these puzzles, we learn and improve. So let's get started. All right, let's start with a quick warm-up. When I say the word mistake, what comes to mind? To me, a mistake is something you wish you hadn't done, something that might have led to a different outcome if it had gone differently. Now, I want you to think about how you would define the word mistake. Is it just an error, or is there more to it? Understanding what we see as a mistake helps us learn and grow. Throughout this presentation, we'll explore how mistakes are not just setbacks, but opportunities to improve and develop resilience. So, keep that in mind as we move forward. Mistakes are part of the learning process, and recognizing that is key to personal growth. All right, let's take a moment to read and discuss this quote. What do you think it means? When we look at a quote like this, it's important to think about the deeper message behind the words. What is the author really trying to say? Sometimes, quotes can seem simple on the surface, but they carry a lot of meaning once we dig a little deeper. This particular quote might be encouraging us to reflect on our own experiences or challenge our perspectives. As we discuss, I want you to consider how this idea connects to the larger themes we've been exploring today, like growth, understanding, or resilience. So let's open it up. What are your thoughts? This slide is really about understanding the danger of letting fear hold us back from trying new things. It's quite common to feel hesitant or worried about failure, but what's important is not to let that fear stop us from taking risks. This quote highlights the importance of overcoming that fear, because often, growth and success come from stepping outside our comfort zones. When we're afraid of failing, we might miss out on opportunities that could lead to great achievements or personal development. Remember, taking risks is a vital part of moving forward in life. It's about embracing the possibility of failure as a learning experience rather than something to be feared. This idea ties into our overall theme today, encouraging us to be brave, to try new things, and to see setbacks as part of the journey toward success. So, I encourage you to reflect on how fear might be holding you back and think about ways to push past it in your own life. Let's take a moment to think about regret. What are some things that people often regret not doing or trying? Sometimes, it's about missing out on travel opportunities, not pursuing a passion, or not spending enough time with loved ones. Other times, people regret not taking a risk or speaking up for themselves. These regrets usually stem from the same idea, failing to seize opportunities or step outside of our comfort zones. As we explore ways to live more intentionally, it's helpful to keep these common regrets in mind. They remind us of the importance of acting now, rather than waiting and looking back with regret. So, as we continue, think about what you might regret not doing and how you can avoid those feelings by taking action today. Let's take a closer look at these pictures. First, we have Coca-Cola. This image represents a global brand that's recognized all around the world, symbolizing not just a beverage, but also marketing power and cultural influence. Next, we see Alaska, which is famous for its vast, untouched natural landscapes and icy wilderness. It reminds us of the importance of preserving our environment and the beauty of nature. Moving on, there are icebergs, which are large chunks of ice floating in the ocean, often originating from glaciers. They're a striking reminder of the fragile state of our planet's climate and the effects of global warming. Lastly, we have a telephone, a device that revolutionized communication, making it possible to connect with others instantly across long distances. Now, what do these images have in common? They each tell a story about connection, whether it's connecting people through communication, connecting markets with brands like Coca-Cola, or connecting ourselves to the natural world and understanding its vulnerabilities. Throughout this presentation, we're exploring how these elements influence our environment, economy, and society, emphasizing the importance of awareness and responsible action. So in this slide, we're looking at a really interesting what-if scenario. The company, at the time, could have made a lot of money. That's pretty clear, right? But here's the twist. Why was this actually a mistake? Well, it turns out that Western Union rejected the patent for the telephone. They didn't see the potential or maybe didn't understand how revolutionary it would be. And the key point here is that by rejecting the telephone patent, they missed out on a huge opportunity. So, the mistake wasn't just about missing a chance to make money. It was about underestimating the future importance of this technology. This connects to our overall theme, how sometimes even big companies can make critical mistakes by not recognizing innovation early enough. It really shows how important it is to keep an eye on emerging technologies and to be willing to take risks. This tragedy resulted in the deaths of 1,517 people, which is a devastating loss. So, why was this a mistake? Well, it mainly came down to the captain ignoring 5 warnings about icebergs that were issued during the voyage. These warnings are crucial signals that should never be overlooked. To make things worse, the radio operator also failed to give the captain another warning when new information about ice conditions came in. So, what was the core mistake here? It was a combination of ignoring those critical warnings and not properly communicating them. This highlights a key lesson. Effective communication and paying attention to warnings are essential to safety. When those are neglected, even the most advanced ships and technology can't prevent tragedy. This example ties back to our overall theme, the importance of vigilance and clear communication in avoiding disasters. There was gold in Alaska, which is often seen as a huge opportunity. But why was this a mistake? Well, Russia sold Alaska to the United States for only 1.7 cents per acre. That might sound like a good deal at first, but looking back, it was a huge undervaluation. The main question is, what was the mistake here? The key issue was that the true value of Alaska wasn't just in gold or natural resources, but also in its strategic importance and potential for expansion. Selling it so cheaply meant missing out on long-term benefits and control. This example connects to our overall theme, how decisions made in the past can sometimes overlook future opportunities or underestimate the true worth of what's being sold. People were outraged that the original Coke was not available. This was a significant issue because the original formula had built a strong emotional connection with consumers over the years. When Coca-Cola decided to change their formula and taste, it was seen as a mistake. The key problem was that they underestimated how much people loved the original flavor and how attached they were to it. The change disrupted that trust and loyalty. So the mistake wasn't just about the taste itself, but about understanding their customers' deep attachment to the original product. This situation highlights how important it is for brands to consider their core audience when making such major changes. It connects back to the overall theme that understanding customer sentiment is crucial for success in branding and product development. Let's take a closer look at this slide. Starting with the letter E, which represents the initial step or element in our process. It sets the foundation for what follows. Moving on to A, this highlights the importance of analysis, really understanding the problem or the context we're working within. Next is C, which stands for communication, making sure we share our insights clearly and effectively with stakeholders. Then we see D, emphasizing the need for development, building on our ideas and solutions to create something impactful. The letter B reminds us of the importance of balancing innovation with practicality, finding that sweet spot where creativity meets feasibility. Following that, F signifies feedback, constantly seeking input to refine and improve our work. And finally, the pattern loops back, reinforcing that this process is ongoing, iterative, and essential for continuous growth. These points tie back to our overall theme of strategic development, showing how each step plays a vital role in achieving success. By understanding and integrating these elements, we can ensure our initiatives are well-rounded and sustainable. You know, sometimes people don't realize how truly groundbreaking their inventions are at the time. Take Alexander Graham Bell with the telephone. He didn't realize it would become the most valuable patent in history. It's a reminder that innovation can have unforeseen impacts, often changing the world in ways we never anticipate. And then there's the tragic story of the Titanic. If the radio operator had warned the captain about that iceberg ahead of time, the disaster might have been avoided altogether. It really highlights how crucial timely communication is, especially in emergencies. Moving over to history, Russia probably had some regrets when they sold Alaska to the United States. Little did they know that, not long after, gold was discovered there, making Alaska incredibly valuable. It's a classic example of how decisions made in one era can have long-term consequences we can't predict. Lastly, Coca-Cola, something so familiar and beloved, actually tried to change its formula after more than a century of popularity. It shows how even the most iconic brands can consider innovation or change, but it's a risky move. This ties back to our overall theme, the importance of understanding the potential and risks tied to innovation and decision-making. Let's take a quick look at the final slide. Here, we're focusing on the workbook exercise, specifically parts A and B on page 291. This is a great opportunity to reinforce what we've covered today. I encourage you to go through these exercises thoroughly. They're designed to help you apply the concepts we've discussed in a practical way. Remember, doing these exercises actively helps solidify your understanding and prepares you for real-world application. And as always, if you have any questions or need clarification, don't hesitate to revisit the workbook or ask for guidance. Completing this homework will really enhance your grasp of the material and bring everything together. Thanks for your attention, and I look forward to seeing how you apply these concepts in your work.